Welcome to this video about working documents. We will explain what working documents are, when they are used, and how to make changes to them. If you have appealed Section B and/or Section F of your EHCP, you will usually receive a working document. Remember, Section B is the description of your child or young person's educational needs, and Section F sets out the educational provision which must be in place for them. The local authority will instigate the working document, so this means they will send it to you first. A working document allows both you and the local authority to suggest changes to the EHCP. You can review the document to add any amendments to the plan or remove things from the plan. These are not final, and the local authority has the chance to review them. The local authority will then consider your proposed amendments and return the updated document to you. This process continues through a number of drafts, allowing both parties to discuss and negotiate amendments. Over time, areas of agreement are identified and recorded within the document. The aim is to resolve as many issues as possible before the hearing. In some cases, there may still be points that remain in dispute, and where agreement cannot be reached, these outstanding issues will then be considered by the tribunal, and the judge will make a final decision at the hearing. There is a specific key you will need to follow when you make proposed amendments to a working document. Normal type is the original EHCP. Anything underlined has been agreed by both parties, whether that's an addition or a deletion, and deletions are shown using strike-through text. Bold type is parent or carer proposed amendments, and bold type strike-through is parents' proposed deletions. The slanted type, known as italic, is the local authority's amendments, and italic strike-through is the local authority's proposed deletions. This key can appear confusing at first, but it's important that you familiarise yourself with it, as it will help you in acknowledging where the changes are and who has requested them. All the information included in the EHCP comes from the reports gathered in the needs assessment. These are listed in Section K of the EHCP and are referred to as Section K documents. You should familiarise yourself with the list, and you can make a note of what each K document is. For example, here you can see that K3 is the Educational Psychologist report. This will help you identify where information has come from when you're reading the plan, as the different documents will be referenced as K1, K2, K3, and so on. If you have new reports, it would be helpful for you to reference these appropriately in Section K. Remember to use the key we discussed previously when you propose any amendments. For example, if you have an updated educational psychology report, you can add that as K3A, and so on. Sheffield EHCPs set out a primary and a secondary need. If you feel the local authority has chosen the wrong need as your child's primary or secondary need, you can use a drop-down to suggest a different one. But remember, any changes you make need to come directly from a report or a professional's advice. Section B is split up into 5 different areas of development. Your child's strengths and difficulties in each area of development should be specified. The 5 areas of development are communication and interaction. This includes speech and language difficulties, such as difficulties forming speech or understanding speech. It also includes social communication difficulties, such as autism. Cognition and learning, and this covers any learning difficulties or disabilities, including specific learning disabilities, such as dyslexia. Social emotional mental health, or SEMH. This covers difficulties managing behaviour or regulating emotions. Physical and sensory needs. This covers any physical disabilities or sensory impairments, such as a hearing impairment or a vision impairment. And finally, independence and self-care, how independent your child is and what tasks can they do for themselves. Each area should include your child's strengths. This is things they can do. For example, Jane can count to 5. It's important to include information about your child's strengths in their EHCP, so try not to remove these parts of the plan unless they've made progress. For example, you might change Jane can count to 5 to Jane can count to 10. Each area should also include information on your child's needs. This is the things they find difficult. For example, Jane finds it difficult to put numbers in order. For each need that is listed in Section B, there should be a matching provision set out in Section F. This means the type of support which will be in place to help meet that specific need. Good provision should explain what support will be provided, who will provide it, how often it will happen, how much support will be given, and what level of skill or training the person providing that support needs. When reading Section F, you can ask yourself the following questions. Is there support listed for each of my child's needs in Section B? Does the support match my child's needs and describe what they need help with? And is the support clear, detailed, quantified, and specific? Sometimes support may need to change as the child's needs change, and the EHCP should allow enough flexibility for this where needed. The provision should also make it clear how the support will help your child achieve their outcomes. Some health or social care support, such as therapies that help a child learn new skills, should be included in Section F because it's considered educational provision. Here are some things to remember when proposing your amendments to your working document. Copy and paste directly from a report or professional's advice. Remember to use the key that we discussed at the beginning of the video, and remember to reference where that information is coming from. So, for example, K3. The tribunal can help decide what should be included in Section B, the educational needs, and Section F, the educational support of the EHCP. These decisions are legally binding. If you have asked the tribunal to look at the health and social care sections of the plan, remember they can only make recommendations about these parts. Although these recommendations are not legally binding, health and social care services are expected to take them seriously, and if they choose not to follow them, they need to explain why. Section I names the school, college, or educational setting your child currently attends. If you would like a different school or setting to be named, you can suggest changes to this section in the working document. The local authority will consider your preference and may agree to the change. It's quite common for parents and the local authority to have different views about the most suitable placement. If an agreement cannot be reached during the working document process, the issue can be decided by the tribunal. Try not to worry if your preferred school is not agreed straight away. Placement is one of the most common areas of disagreement in EHCP appeals, and many cases are successfully resolved either through discussion with the local authority or, where necessary, by a tribunal judge making the final decision. Now let's summarise what we've learned in this video. A working document allows you and the local authority to suggest changes to the EHCP and work towards agreement. Always use professional reports and evidence when proposing amendments and clearly reference where the information has come from. Check that every need in Section B has a matching provision in Section F. Good provision should be clear, specific, and explain who will provide the support, how often, and for how long. The tribunal can make legally binding decisions about Section B and F and make recommendations regarding the health and social care sections of the plan. You may request changes to Section I if you would like a different educational placement to be named. It's normal for some issues to remain unresolved during the working document stage. Many disagreements are resolved through discussion, but where agreement cannot be reached, the tribunal will make a final decision. Most importantly, focus on what support your child needs to make progress and achieve positive outcomes.